Have you ever heard of synaptic regulation? It's a really cool process that happens in our brains. Basically, when we learn something new or have a thought, our neurons, brain cells, communicate with each other through tiny gaps called synapses. But these connections aren't fixed, they can change depending on how often they're used, and that's where synaptic regulation comes in. It's the way our brain adapts and fine-tunes these connections to make sure our thoughts and actions are as efficient as possible. Let's dive in and learn more about this amazing process. What is synaptic regulation? Synaptic regulation refers to the mechanisms by which the strength and efficacy of synaptic connections between neurons are modulated. Synaptic regulation is critical for shaping neural circuit function and plasticity, which underlies learning, memory, and other cognitive processes. Modulating neurotransmitter release. At its most basic level, synaptic regulation involves the modulation of the neurotransmitter release and/or the sensitivity of the postsynaptic receptor to the neurotransmitter. There are several ways in which these mechanisms can be modulated, including changes in synaptic vesicle release probability, receptor expression or localization, and signaling cascades that modulate synaptic strength and plasticity. Synaptic plasticity. One of the most well-studied forms of synaptic regulation is synaptic plasticity, which refers to the long-term changes in synaptic efficacy that occur in response to neural activity. There are two main types of synaptic plasticity: long-term potentiation, LTP, and long-term depression, LTD. LTP is a process by which synaptic strength is increased following repeated activation of the synapse, while LTD is a process by which synaptic strength is decreased following reduced activity. Long-term potentiation. LTP is thought to underlie the cellular basis of learning and memory, and is often studied in the context of the hippocampus, a brain region that is critical for the formation and retrieval of declarative memories. Role of NMDA receptor. LTP is thought to be mediated by the NMDA receptor, which is a type of glutamate receptor that is highly expressed in the hippocampus. Activation of the NMDA receptor triggers a series of intracellular signaling events that ultimately lead to the insertion of new AMPA receptors into the postsynaptic membrane, resulting in an increase in synaptic strength. Refining neural circuits. LTD, on the other hand, is thought to be involved in the homeostatic regulation of synaptic strength and the refinement of neural circuits. LTD is often studied in the context of the cerebellum, a brain region that is critical for motor coordination and learning. LTD is thought to be mediated by the activation of metabotropic glutamate receptors, mGluRs, which triggers a cascade of intracellular signaling events that ultimately lead to the removal of AMPA receptors from the postsynaptic membrane, resulting in a decrease in synaptic strength. Short-term plasticity. In addition to LTP and LTD, there are several other forms of synaptic regulation that have been described, including short-term plasticity, which refers to the transient changes in synaptic efficacy that occur in response to neural activity, and homeostatic plasticity, which refers to the mechanisms by which neurons adjust their synaptic strength to maintain stable network activity levels. Summary. Overall, synaptic regulation is a complex and dynamic process that involves the modulation of multiple cellular and molecular mechanisms. The study of synaptic regulation is critical for understanding the neural basis of learning, memory, and other cognitive processes, as well as for developing new treatments for neurological and psychiatric disorders that involve abnormalities in synaptic function. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when we upload new videos, and you'll be supporting our channel to create more amazing content for you. So, click that button and join our community today.